We are live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Chattering with Nicholas Vince. And this week I'm chattering with Gigi Saul Guerrero. And have I got that pronunciation correct?
That was really good. I'm really shocked. You totally practiced that.
That is from studying Spanish 40 years ago.
Oh,
when I was at school.
So
good. Good. Welcome, Gigi. Before I start asking you questions and so on, I just wanted to share a few things with the folks who are watching. The first thing is to remind people that next week I'm going to be joined by Katie Bonham on the show, and we're going to discuss her latest short film, Mindless, in which I star, basically, and which is going to be premiering at Fright Fest in Glasgow at the end of February. The Fright Hype podcast, which is me talking to Mike Hickey and his friend Mark, about Hellraiser. This is the first time I'd done a podcast where we actually had Hellraiser playing in the background. Every so often I manage to bring Mike back on topic and we talk about Hellraiser, but otherwise we were talking about Gilmore Girls.
I used to watch that show.
Well, it's because Jared Padalecki is in it, and we were talking about Supernatural a lot, and somehow we got into Gilmore Girls.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's going to be that's now up and available. It was a really good fun. A shout out to Maiko Entertainment, who are premiering the film Hollower this evening at Blood on Sea Film Festival. That's the feature film in which I star, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it. I haven't had a chance. I've got a link to see it, but I just have not had a chance to watch it yet. So good luck to them, folks. I'm sure everyone will enjoy that. And also just to remind people that Jonathan Hughes is holding a Women in Horror Month special event at the World Cinema in London on the 23rd of February. That's the World Cinema, spelt WHIRLED, World Cinema.
You passed the test! Not right, you can spell. Yeah.
Trust me, spelling, these things usually go at some point in the evening. So Gigi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And what are you working on at the moment? Have you got anything that you're plugging at the moment?
Oh man, I don't even know where to begin. We have a lot coming out, or a lot to look forward to work on. So I guess this could be the first place I can announce it too. We actually signed on a new sci-fi anthology not long ago. So it's with some of the same creators that did Mexico Barbaro. So now there's going to be a sci-fi anthology called Aztec. And it's really cool because we're one of the only horror teams in the anthology too. So I'm really excited to make something sci-fi and horror. I've never even touched sci-fi before. So when they invited me, I was like, well, it's still gonna be gory, right? Because that's what we do best. And they're like, yes, please, that's what we want. And so when I sent them the script to my segment, they were like, this is the most Gigi thing ever. So it's perfect. So I'm super excited to be shooting that pretty soon. And then we're, of course, developing the feature to El Gigante, which is going to be awesome. It's like all tacos and gore all day long, which is pretty much my life. And I cannot wait. Took a while to adapt Shane's book, which is where Gigante comes from, right? From his novel. It was very intense, 11 months or so. Adapting it into a script, so that was a really cool challenge. But script is done, and we're so close to being funded. We just need a little more, and then we're hoping to shoot it just before summer's over. That's the goal. But things change in this industry, right?
Yeah.
And we have a couple other little shorts planned. We noticed that the Lucha Gore Christmas was a big success. So we want to do another holiday coming up soon. Hopefully we'll have we'll have time. I won't say which one yet in case we can. Uh, No, we really want to do that. And then there's a big secret project I can't announce, which I'm dying to announce soon. It's our first big break we got with a big company in Hollywood that we've been working hard at for 3 months. So if that continues to go as good as it is, then we're looking into shooting our first big project in June. But I don't want to jinx it, right? Because it's the biggest thing that's ever happened, and until they say it, then yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. Yeah, no, it's
nerve-wracking because I'm like, yo, you do realize you hired a nobody and a total noob and stuff. So I keep telling my producer Rainer how nervous I am to screw something up or be my total immature, unprofessional self and say something stupid sometimes. Or so it's been cool, but it's been an amazing learning curve so far. So let's cross fingers it'll keep being as good as it is, so we can tell everybody soon what it is.
Oh, that's brilliant. That sounds really, really exciting. So when you are able to announce it, let me know. I'll share it on the show.
Definitely, it's good. It's big. It's really big. So we're excited, because it's one of those things where I'll tell you the story of sort of how it happened. I guess someone in their division saw one of my works at a festival, and
Right.
they were like, that's exactly what we're looking for. And they managed to get a hold of me through email. I thought it was the fakest email in the world. I was like, yeah, right. Isn't that right, Nacho? Oh, he's asleep. Anyways, so I was like, this is so fake. Yeah, right. And then I got a Skype call with the person, and I just kept shaking my head like, no way. So what I do best is I shove my problems to Rainer, and I'm always like, yeah, you know what? Contact Rainer, our producer, and yeah, he'll take care of you. Yeah, totally. Next thing you know, Rainer calls me with his face like, you do realize what you just sent me, right? And I'm like, no. And then boom, it just went from there. And I was like, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but one day I'll tell
I think
the story how I thought they were fake 100%.
I know exactly how that feels. I mean, I've not had anybody from Hollywood contact me, but I remember receiving. I did an animation to a music video by this group that I'd not heard of, EXGF. And I got this email and they're saying, would you like, we'd really enjoy your show. We'd like you to do something with this song that we've written. And I thought, really? And I had to Google them to find out. And yes, it was true. And then I listened to it. It was great. And that's up on my YouTube channel. It's called We Are the Hearts. And there is just that moment. You mean me? Are you serious? You sure you haven't missed it? Send it to one person. It takes a while to get over that. Yeah.
Totally does. You feel like a machine, like it's just not processing, yeah. It's cool. It's cool, but I totally get you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's actually there are a few questions I wanted to ask, and I know we've already got quite a few viewers watching us, so I'm sure they're going to Craig will be passing on people's comments and so on. And I already have a couple of questions from Joe and Paddy, which I'll come to in a few moments. But you say this is Lucha Gore Productions. Now, how long has Lucha Gore Productions been going on, and how did it come about? How did you meet these guys?
Lucha Gore, I guess it became official only 3 years ago. Like I guess it would be 3 years ago. Yeah, oh my God, we're in 2016. Whoa, sorry, I had a brain fart for a moment. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, sorry. So yes, 3 years ago, I guess we decided to be official after we made our first viral hit, which was Evil Dead in 60 Seconds.
Right.
It just exploded everywhere, and it was the first thing we made that really got our names out there. And I went up to my best friend Luke Bramley, he does all the cinematography. The reason our stuff looks so good is because he's the god of lights. So I asked Luke right after we made Evil Dead, and I was like, hey, what was that name you said in film school last year, that weird name we should be? And he's like, oh, Lucha Gore, because a luchador, but it's Gore. You know, he's like the pun master. He's great. And I was like, that's it. It should be Lucha Gore Productions. And then from there, just the rest is history. And how it started was when I was 19 or 20, back in film school, we made our first short, which was Dead Crossing. I'm sure some people have seen it on YouTube. It's like the first thing ever you can see me. I'm like really young in it. I act and direct, and yeah, it was the first thing we ever made together. Luke, myself, and our other co-founder, Gordon. It was just 4 crew of us, myself with 12 Mexican actors, because we're like, okay, let's just get the whole family in the movie. And a couple lights, $150, and we just made a little short. And from that moment on, Luke kind of came up with this Lucha Gore idea, but I was like, you're too white for that idea. You can't know. So
okay, so just to clarify, because me, English, luchador, what's the significance of luchador?
So, a luchador is a Mexican wrestler. Actually, I know how to show you. One second. Here.
Cool.
So this is a luchador. So that's a luchador, right?
Oh, okay. I've seen these. Yeah. Okay, that's a luchador. Yes. Yeah. I yes.
Oh my God. He almost fell off. Yeah. He got so scared.
Oh, is that Nacho? We should point out that Nacho isn't your boyfriend, he's your dog.
Well, he can be my boyfriend. I love him more than any other man. So, but yeah, so that's
makes perfect sense.
And Luke, who's my best friend, he knows how obsessed I am with luchadors. Because I mean, who doesn't love men in spandex, right? So,
and masks.
And masks, yeah. Right. So
Yeah.
he kind of like is a play on words. Instead of luchador, it's Lucha Gore. And since then, it just kind of stick with us. At first, I thought it was a really silly name, but it just totally worked. And since then, we always kind of bring a little bit of a Hispanic twist to all our shorts. And yeah, Lucha Gore is just awesome. Who else is going to be named Lucha Gore Productions?
And it does, and now it all makes perfect sense, because I've seen the icon that you use and so on. And I think it's Luke who wrote your biography on IMDb and described your filmmaking as Tex-Mex.
Very Tex-Mex.
Yeah.
Very Tex-Mex.
So, as I say, we had a few questions come in already. So I want to start doing those.
Right, did I?
Yeah, and I should, firstly, just before I get to Paddy Murphy's question, he'd just like to say Luke Bramley is my hero. His aesthetic style is freaking incredible.
It's so true. He's a genius.
Yeah.
Luke. And you know what's funny, actually, it'll be interesting for everyone to know. Luke never knew he wanted to be a cinematographer, even after we finished film school. He kind of was brought into cinematography because in 3rd year, or one of our early years in film school, everyone had to direct a short, and his DP was really stupid. Like, the guy didn't know what the hell he was doing. And Luke, being Luke, like he's so nice. Like, he will never be mean to anybody. But if someone like that was on my side, I'd be like, hey, do you want to go outside? And we'll take care of it. You know, that'd be more me. But Luke would be like, hey, do you mind if I put the light for you here? Like, that's kind of how Luke is. And then I noticed, because I acted in his short, I noticed Luke knew what he was doing, sort of. It just came very natural. And so I told him after, I was like, hey, why don't you DP my project for the class? And he did it. He did a good job. But even after we graduated, Luke didn't like to be a cinematographer. He wanted to still, study more directing and writing, maybe editing. Like, he wanted to do more of those things, which he's good at. But Rainer, Gordon, and myself were like, Luke, you're a genius at lighting. Like, you have to do it. And so when he made our first big short, which was Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead for Mexico Barbaro,
yep,
that's the first time Luke really played with splashes of color and just making it his own unique style. Because we made Day of the Dead when we were in film school, but we had nothing for that movie until Mexico Barbaro showed up a year later, and we were able to finish the movie with an anthology. So that was really cool. But Day of the Dead was an early project of ours at the end of film school. I mean, I was still in film school learning how to direct when we made it. And after Day of the Dead, I think Luke kind of realized that he is a cinematographer and he's so good at it.
Sure. I think Nacho's not pleased.
No, he can smell my mom cooking, and he's not just very Mexican. When we make tortillas, he will go where they are because that's all he eats. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
But our dog Bertie is
yeah.
he wants to know where the food is constantly. Bertie is constantly wanting to. He will always be where the food is, basically.
Exactly.
And he will corral people to make sure he's where the food is. So that's how Luke became cinematographer. One of the questions from Paddy as well is, Lucha Gore's production department is incredible. Would you say this is one of the areas you focus most your effort, financials in when you make a film? Sure, because I'm thinking of Day of the Dead, and I would not think of that as in inverted commas, student film, or people who just coming in.
It's sometimes tough to see Day of the Dead because we're like, oh my God, like I did this so long ago, and it's just tough to watch it. But at the same time, it's really cool where a student film could go from, right? And definitely everything we make is really cheap. Like we've really learned how to shoot something with like next to no money. So something I always recommend, and something we do, we always make sure our budget, of course, goes to food. A happy crew is a well-fed crew, right? But
it's so important.
Goes to production design and makeup. Because if you are going to make a horror film, your makeup and effects have to look so good. Like that's the stuff that sells and what horror fans really like. And you know, we kind of have a team that we all really like to create almost like world building stories that don't really take place in a general area. So if you watch all our Lucha Gore shorts, it almost looks like it's the same Lucha Gore universe. Like almost all our bad guys kind of are related in a way, and it's the same really dirty world. And I guess that's where Rainer comes in. He's production designed most of our work, and he's so good at building things with nothing. Like I don't. Day of the Dead is an actual set. It's not a strip club. It's an actual 4-wall set. So,
wow.
Yeah, Rainer helped build the stage and everything with just the crappiest wood you can imagine. And those poor girls, I don't know how they walked on those heels on the wood. I swear, I bet they thought they were going to fall straight down because everything was so badly made. But it looked good enough on camera, you know, for those couple days of shooting. And a really cool thing Rainer creates the coolest stuff with just a chainsaw and wood. I don't know how he does it. But for Gigante, how we made the wrestling ring, how Rainer designed it was he's a tire man, so he works at a tire shop. So he totally stole 4 giant semi tires, like giant tires. He brought them to the set, which was totally empty. So he put the tires down, and he bought a giant piece of wood to go on top, so it gives you that bit of spring.
Yeah.
On top, we stapled a giant canvas on top. And then we just splashed it with blood and then put some wood around it and rope, and that was our wrestling ring. But it totally worked. And I think the budget for Day of the Dead and the production design and for Gigante was only $1,000, $2,000. That's it. That's nothing. And I don't know how he does it. It's crazy, but this goes to all the departments: costumes, makeup, all the Lucha Gore departments. We're really good at being cheap. Like because we learned from, for anybody that's wondering, the reason why we know how to do this is because our final project in school, we made Choose Your Victim, which was an 8-episode web series. totally did not get super famous or anything, but each episode was only a budget of $100 or something like that, because it was not a successful Indiegogo campaign. We didn't know what we were doing. 8 episodes, so it was, we shoot in 2 days, edit it in 3, put it out, and then get people to vote who dies next and how. We pick the best death, shoot again, edit in 3 days, go again, go again. It took 4 months to complete with no stop. And if anyone that's curious, if you go to Choose Your Victim web series, you will notice each episode gets so much better. Each episode becomes shorter, more concise. The acting gets better. The camera gets better. It's our first work. It's our very early work. But if we didn't make Choose Your Victim and finish it, we wouldn't be as good as we are today at committing to finishing a project and just being so fast, so fast and efficient. We're able to complete almost 35 shots in 1 day now. That's a lot. That's unheard of. And that's how crazy we are now. We're like, yeah, let's do it. 35 shots. We just go for
it. Funnily enough, I think this is the number that Roger Corman has always expected his directors when he's producing. 35 30 every day. Yeah, you've got to get that. Absolutely. That's what you're going to be aiming to get if if you're doing feature 35 a day. And it's like, well, really? Because I remember we did the night shoot for my short film, Night Whispered, and I think we got 22, 23, but it was a night show and it was very, very cold.
I always say, like, the more you shoot, the better you get, but you have to get in even finishing your show. A lot of film students, a lot of people that start out, they're so excited to write a script, to shoot a short, they shoot a scene, but they get really disappointed in that it didn't turn out the way they do, and then they put it in the back burner. Even if the first fans you get that watch your crappy short is just your family, that's great. It starts off with 4 people, and then it just grows. And it makes you a better artist, because you're going to see your mistakes immediately, and you're going to go, oh my God, okay, I got to do this now. Right. It just makes you so much more committed, for sure. I recommend it always. Just shoot, just make shit.
Just shoot, go out and do it, and learn whilst you're doing the job, basically. Okay, cool. All right, I'm now getting quite a few questions coming in, so I'm going to try and get to everybody. This is from Joe. I'd love to. Oh, actually, there is one question of mine I wanted to ask. Do you just use your family and friends for all your movies?
I started out with that. The first, definitely, it's like my dad and everything. Hey, amigos, I'm gonna be in a movie again. Like, that's my dad. And that is how he talks. I swear, that's exactly how he talks. But yeah, it started out with just friends and family. That was it. And then our work would kind of get out more, and a lot of local actors would really want to work for us. So now it's come to the point where we really get a lot of interest from bigger union actors here that want to do a Lucha Gore film. So
interesting. Yeah. Okay, that's very useful. That's very good to know.
We stick with the same actor a lot. Like, for example, Matias Retamal, like, he was the Matador in MS for Matador, and he's the creep guy in Gigante, and he's the guy that gets his nuts cut off in Testament. Like, he's the same dude. He's wonderful. Like, he's exactly everything I look for. A gritty, dirty, Hispanic-looking guy. Like, it's exactly every time I'm looking for someone that looks gritty and dirty Mexican, it's Matias. So, but once we like a certain actor or actress, we really like to develop characters thinking of them. But I think that's a very common thing in filmmaking. Once you like an actor and actress that you connect with, you almost write things for them. But we love exploring. We love finding new faces all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's right. Well, it's what happened with me and the guys in Hellraiser. Is how we ended up by doing 3 films with Clive. He and Clive had worked with Doug and Simon in the Dog Company, his theatre company beforehand. So yeah, I completely understand that. So the question I have from Joe is, I'd love to see your vision of the mythical goat sucker El Chupacabra. Any plans to develop that story?
I've always wanted to do a chupacabra film. Like almost any legend and myth or tradition or anything that's Mexican, I want to be able to make something of it. I told Shane, our writer, I was like, hey, like have in the back of your head a chupacabra story one day. And he's like, I got some and it's going to gross you out. I'm like, perfect. So I would love to do a chupacabra film because I've actually seen a couple straight to TV or straight to DVD really shitty chupacabra films. Breaks my heart because I think it's such a great monster, you know, and I would love to do it. I would totally do it. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And that kind of in the similar frame is from Paul Yan. My favorite question to ask any director, writer, producer from another country is, how do you tailor your movie for foreign audiences, or do you not bother and simply make the film from your own perspective?
That's a really good question. Let me put on my thinking hat so I can sound as smart as that question. That's a really good question. You know what? Ever since we started making the films, we had a lot of Spanish-speaking films to start off in Lucha Gore. And a lot of the times, I remember Rainer would say, hey, I don't know if it's a good idea that so many of our movies are in Spanish, or even we made one in Japanese. And I told him, you know what? It doesn't matter if they're in English for a bigger audience. I said, it's just as long as we have a really cool story that you can involve and invest yourself in. That's all that matters, you know? And I think I will continue to follow that in the rest of the films that I make. I will almost not even think about making it a foreign film or not. You know, it's funny because I am foreign here in Canada, right? Like I am foreign here, but my team isn't. So it's almost a funny mix how we make films in a different language that nobody speaks in the group but me, you know, and it's almost hard to say, is this a foreign film or not? But we just try to make whatever works with the story to make that story as realistic and as raw as we can. But I guess there is also that way of, if you want to make a mainstream film, when you're making bigger budget films, then you got to think, okay, what is going to make your film be more catered to a bigger audience? Then you start thinking, well, if you talk in English, more people will see it in the States where Hollywood is, blah, blah, blah. So I guess to touch the story of Gigante feature, ideally, the whole thing should be in English. But what made the short so raw is that it was mostly in Spanish or no dialogue at all. So the plan with El Gigante feature is going to be in Spanglish. If a character is Mexican, they have to talk in Spanish. If a character is American, one of the redneck characters in it, they have to talk in English and have that language barrier just so it looks as real and gritty as possible. You know, so I totally believe in just, if you just make the movie the way it should be, the way your heart says it should be, you know?
Yeah. This is very interesting. This is a very good question, as you're saying, and I completely understand what you're saying. I think it begs the question for El Gigante feature film. Are you therefore going to subtitle in both directions? So will you subtitle the Spanish and English?
Exactly.
And English and Spanish.
Complicated part. That's gonna be the complicated part. We'll probably have to just make like 20 different versions. You know? The subtitles are different, but that's the plan. You know, I want it to feel real. Like there really is a Gigante out there in the middle of the border, and there's a crazy cannibal family stealing immigrants in the border. You know, I want it to feel like, oh my God, what if this was real? You know, and
well, it's funny because when I watched El Gigante, and I was saying to Craig, my husband, who comes from Scotland, and I said, okay, well, it's very similar to the Sawney Bean legend. Because up in Scotland, there was, well, it's a legend. It's not really a legend because they existed. There was a family of cannibals that were living off people traveling. And I thought, ooh, yeah. Sorry, spoilers. Didn't mean to give spoilers. But I do find that interesting, the way that you know, kind of spread, you know, throughout the world, that story. If you like. but it's very, very powerful. And the way, and I think what you were saying earlier on as well is that it's not just the story; it's the telling of the story and the
Exactly.
characters, the investment in the characters.
Yeah. And you know, at my film school, that is the main thing they taught us. They didn't let us jump on using a camera right away. They really, really pushed us to work on story for so many years before. I remember a lot of the students, they just wanted to jump and make a movie now. Let's shoot it at, you know, like immediately. A lot of the film schools do have that kind of style of program, which sure, they can get you to learn the technical side right away. But my school, it was story, 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 theory, theory, theory. Like it was a lot of studying. And now that I realize it, story is so important. Like story is so important. Even if it's the simplest thing, there's just so many elements you can add to a movie to really make someone go, wow, or to really hit someone in there. You know, and I think that's the most important. And you can have the simplest thing ever, but you can really, really catch someone's attention so fast with simple things, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it also, the interesting thing, you reminded me of a documentary I was watching on a couple of the greatest Hollywood cameramen who happened to train in the Eastern Bloc, in Russia or Czechoslovakia. They're saying that their camera school, when they were learning camera work, they weren't allowed to touch a camera for the first year. They had to paint. They had to draw and paint. They had to really understand image, the power of image and what it was.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, cool. I've got lots of questions coming at you. I've got lots of questions coming as I thought there would be on the tweets and comments and so on. If you would like to come on at about 1:45, I will invite a few of you on to talk live with myself and Gigi. If you'd like to do that, please let Craig know on the Google Hangout by posting a comment, and we need to know your Google username for me to be able to invite you on, guys. So I will hope to get as many of you on as possible. So I'll put that out now, and in about 1/4 an hour, I'll see how many we've got. In the meantime, I've got lots more questions. This is from Gary Bishop. So many great women in horror now. Gigi, Tristan, the Soska twins, Lisa Ovis, Jill, Jill Six, etc. Any plans for an all-female anthology?
Not that I've been invited to. I have heard of one that was being worked on. It was called XXX, I think. I think quite a few female directors are in it. I think the Soskas were part of it, but I don't know if they are anymore. But I know there's a female anthology being made right now. One of the bigger female filmmakers in it, I think, is Jen Lynch. She does a lot of the Walking Dead episodes. And Jovanka.
Vankovic.
Thank you.
Jovanka.
Yeah.
Jovanka. Like, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. Yeah. Ooh. Hello, Gigi.
Screwing up your name. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So you froze for just a few moments, but you're back now. Yes, we're.
You look like this. And I was like, yeah. But yeah, there is a female anthology. I would love to do it. I would love to do it. But you know what? At the end of the day, I just want to be part of cool projects, regardless if it's all female or all male. Just if there's a cool project out there, hell, I want to be part of it. You know, that's what matters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Another question from Paddy. What is the writing process for the Lucha Gore films? Because I know Shane writes short stories. So typically, do his stories get kind of adapted for your shorts? Or does he typically write original material outside of El Gigante?
Our early work, it was just Luke and myself. So Day of the Dead and earlier, like Dead Crossing and all those, it was just Luke and me writing. But once we met Shane, which is like a blessing, so cool. We have an actually really neat system of writing. It's funny because Shane totally gets us. He is such a sick-minded fuck. I'm sorry to swear, but
That's quite all right.
And he is the nicest man on earth, and he's got the sickest mind. It's quite terrifying, but I love it. And the way it works is I always have some sort of idea or a visual image of something I want to do, and I always tell him, like even for Matador, which was the first one that we made with him, I was like, hey, I really want like half naked girls, like maybe fighting some sort of bullfighter, and maybe like one of them has like a bullhead. Can you like write something with that? 20 minutes later, he's like, I got something. And then he just sends it right away. Same with Madre de Dios. You know, I was like, hey, I really want to do something like a totally new type of like witchcraft, touching the Mexican witchcraft, brujeria, with some sort of demonic feel to it of an antichrist. And can you do like a Virgin Mary thing to it too? Because I love the Mexican Virgin Mary. Can you do something like that? Oh yeah. 2 days later, I got something for you. And for Slam, same thing. I was like, hey, we got clown makeup, $100. That's it. What can you make? And immediately thought, like, that's just how it always works. He puts our ideas together so well. The Lucha Gore Christmas, I was like, hey, tell me something with the naughty list, something original. Let's do something with the naughty list and a Santa that looks like Leatherface. Boom, immediately thought of it. The Women in Horror, which Blood Drive PSA, I'm sure everybody's seen. I was like, hey, how about we touch on the suicide note? Can we do something risky like that? Like maybe this girl in the bathtub. And that one, I swear, Nick, that one took him 30 seconds to come up with. What if her slit starts talking? And I was like, what? And then, yeah, he's great. Our process is hilarious.
It sounds perfect. It sounds like a great melding of minds.
Awesome.
And you're so future. It's brilliant. I love your PSA.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I know. I'm sure some people were like, "What the?" And some people were like, "Yes," which is great. You want all kinds of reactions.
Well, and that's it. And I think also what comes back, and one of the reasons I'm excited by your work is because you do bring this very Mexican feel to your work, and which I really don't know that much about. I mean, I love, and I've spoken on this program before about my love of the Spanish horror and weirdness and just the crazy TV shows that they've made in the past. And it seems to be, and I love the whole Day of the Dead makeup stuff that you use as well. Some more questions coming in. So Jamie Green asked, is there a particular film that inspired you to get into filmmaking?
Definitely. Well, I was always very, very curious about horror films because I was not allowed to see them. But one of the films two films, I guess, changed my way of thinking was when I first saw The Exorcist. I was 9 years old, and in Mexico, it came out again in the theaters, like remastered, recolored, and everything. And so I was like, Mama, I really want to see it. Please take me to see it. And my mom's like, no, because you're going to get scared and you're not going to sleep. And I'm going to have to put angels in your room, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, Mama, please take me. And so she's like, okay, do you want to get scared? Okay. So she took me. Oh, I was so traumatized. She was right. I couldn't sleep. But at the same time, no movie has ever made me feel like that. No movie. So since then, Exorcist stuck with me, and I was like, I want to make people feel stuff, like, also. And then the movie that really told me I want to be a filmmaker was Alejandro Iñárritu's first film. The guy that's winning all the Oscars now. Right. that weirdo. Yeah, that guy. His first movie was called Amores Perros, which I think in English was called Life's a Bitch. It was one of the first.
Love is Dangerous?
No, really it would be Love of Dogs.
Okay.
That would be the literal translation, but I think in English it was called Life's a Bitch.
Okay.
But in Spanish it's Amores Perros. Oh, that movie just really got in there. Like, and I love violent dramas. I think they're my favorite, but that movie really made me want to be a filmmaker. For sure,
right.
100%.
Okay, cool. All right. So again, and just a quick historical updates because of my wonderful husband. Alexander Sawneybean was the head of a 48-member clan in the 15th or 16th century Scotland, reportedly executed for the mass murder and cannibalization of over 1,000 people.
Wow.
Whoa, yeah, I'm getting chills just reading that out. Yeah, somebody's going to have made a film about that one. There's a question in here from, and I know that Kelly and Jonathan would like to join us. I will hold you guys. I'll hold off inviting you because I've got a couple of more questions to get in before I do, guys. But I will try and get Jonathan and Kelly on. This is from Kim Lehman. Would you ever consider writing and directing a made-for-TV movie, preferably horror? So rather than mainstream film, would you think about doing TV work?
Our secret project might be in that direction.
Right. I didn't ask that question, and we're gonna, yeah.
I might be doing something like that soon.
We'll move on. We'll move on. I'll talk over you.
I'll totally do it one day.
Yeah, we'll ignore that one. Don Pettit asks, hey Gigi, any plans to do a film or a short based around Santa Muerte by any chance?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's actually very much where I wanted to make our last short with Tristan Risk, Madre de Dios.
Right.
I didn't want to do Santa Muerte exactly, but I wanted to make almost our own version of Santa Muerte, which whoever gets to see the short will really totally get what I'm talking about.
And perhaps you could just explain what, again, for the ignorant Englishman on this call, what Santa Muerte is.
Santa Muerte, I'll tell like a really simple version of what it is. So basically, well, there's Virgin Mary back there, right? Like the Mexican Mary. Yeah. Santa Muerte is practically Virgin Mary, but it's not her. It's in a skull. It's a skull, basically a skeleton in the Mary outfit. So it's a darker version of her. So it's a whole other following and belief in Santa Muerte. It's very dark. It's really interesting stuff. It's something I've always wanted to do. So for Madre de Dios, I really wanted to create like my own version of Santa Muerte. And Tristan Riss did a fabulous job. I think people are really gonna like that short.
Yes. I
have the prop right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, whilst you get the prop, I'm just going to see if I can invite Kelly Prout.
Right there. So this was from our Lucha Gore costume designer, Jessie Churchill, who does all our costumes, all our props. She's amazing. She does beautiful. Yeah. And the skull is actual Tristan Risk's face, like prosthetic, made by Carolyn. So this is like a combination of our makeup and costume department, what they always do together. So I won't tell you how this is used or incorporated in the film. You gotta watch the short when it comes out. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Well, I've just sent out invitations to both Jonathan and to Kelly to come and join us live. So hopefully they'll be able to come and join us, and we'll get their questions from then. So
is there more questions?
There may be some more questions. I've got you're also a as Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey Gigi.
Hello.
Let me get this sorted because I'm doing.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you for a moment, Jonathan, whilst you get that sorted. And I'm just going to ask Gigi another question. You recently, you've acted in your own films, but you recently acted in a film for Lisa Over's Puppet Killer. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, that was fun. That was, it was a really, it was almost a wake-up call for me as well of what it's like to make your first feature film with a low budget, Right. So, I was really impressed by her crew, how committed they were with very little resources and how hard they worked. And the first time I ever really saw the Soska twins work, because I've seen their work, but I've actually never worked with them in the same set. And those girls just bring so much enthusiasm and passion on the set that it made everybody want to keep going on the long hours of the shoot. The actors were incredible, and I'm really excited to see it. It's hard to almost not spoil anything because you can kind of know it's about, you know, a puppet that kills, blah blah blah. But there's so much originality to it, so it's really cool that, you know, Lisa took that risk of making a horror film that you think you know what it's going to be about, but it totally isn't. And so props to her for that. And just I loved all cast and crew in that movie. It amazingly talented people. So I'm excited to see the final project.
Yeah, me too. And Lisa is going to be joining me in a couple of weeks' time on the show. So I'm looking forward to about that. So we've been joined by both Kelly and Jonathan, and I'm going to bring up Kelly first. Hi, Kelly. Hi, can you say hello, Kelly? Can you hear me? Oh, no, Kelly's just muted herself. Kelly, I think you've just muted yourself. If you click on the microphone where you just clicked up there, try again, Kelly. Say hi. Oh no, I can't hear you, Kelly. I think what you might need to do is to try the little the little cog wheel at the top of your screen. If you click on that and just check that the microphone is doing what you think it should be doing. So whilst you try and sort that out, Kelly, I'll leave you. Your volume is up. I'm going to bring in Jonathan. Hi, Jonathan. Jonathan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You're there. You're there. Hi, Jonathan. What's your question for Gigi?
Gigi, if money was no option, and you could make any film based on a comic book or video game, what would it be?
Oh man. You got me thinking.
So it isn't.
I would make probably one of the Santos films because there are comics of him, of the luchadors. I would totally jump on those right away. And if it's a video game, for some reason when I was really little and I played a lot in Nintendo 64, I was obsessed. It's not a great game, but I was obsessed with Turok. And
yes!
I would love to make the old school Turok, like the old one with the dinosaurs and the monkey and all that crazy shit. Like, I would love to make Turok like that. That's totally up my alley. Yeah.
Oh,
like
yes.
the old school him. Because then I saw the games for PlayStation and that I didn't like it as much. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Turok
All right.
2 Seeds of Evil. Sorry.
What's that?
Sorry. Turok 2 Seeds of Evil for N64.
Oh, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's... Sorry.
That's right. That's okay, Jonathan. I was just going to see if we can get Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Can you try talking to us? I'm wondering if Kelly can't hear us. Oh, hello. Her camera moved in. She smiled. But I can't. Hi, Kelly. I'm not getting any sound from Kelly. So whilst Kelly, if you try, Jonathan, tell me a little bit about the event I mentioned earlier on at the World Cinema and who's going to be.
Basically, yeah, that's fine, mate. Basically, we're doing 8 shorts from female directors. All no, sorry, 10. There was 8. I added 2 this week or a week ago. There's going to be 10 shorts from female directors, 9 female directors, and Andy Stewart, because Andy was a part of the Saxon's PSA, so I've honoured this by adding ink to the shorts. And we're also going to have ourselves a very special panel with some very special guests, including yourself, Nicholas, and the awesome Katie Bonham, Jessica Messenger, Abigail Blackmore, Barbie Wild will be joining us too. The special guest moderator, Miss Emma Dark, who, by the way, I'm meeting up with this week to have a meeting about the panel as well.
Right.
also, and we will be showing the Saska Sisters PSA on the big screen, and we're giving away some Saska Sisters prints during the panel also. So
Okay.
it's just a way to get people to interact with the panel, to ask more questions about the importance of Women in Horror Month, of course, and to give away awesome Saska merch and Women in Horror Month merch as well. And then we have the feature film, which is called, I'm only going to do this by letters, it's called DYS by Maud McCard.
Okay.
Basically, she was part of the panel of the PSA this year and last year, and yeah, it's a psychological horror about a virus, an airborne virus infection.
Oh, okay.
That's what I will say
All right.
about it.
All right then. Okay. Well, we look forward to. I'm looking forward to coming along. That's on February the 23rd. It's in a couple of weeks' time, basically. Not long at all. All right, then, sir. I'm going to mute you for the moment, Jonathan, and let me just try Kelly again. Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. I'm waving. Kelly's. I think we may.
I think I know I will get her attention.
Yeah. I think she's definitely not muted, but I think her signal has frozen by the looks of it because Kelly doesn't appear to be moving at the moment.
Yeah, because I was like, she's very still.
Yeah, and it looks as if you're... Jonathan, what I'm going to do is, now, this is nothing personal, Jonathan, but if you could just ring off, it's just possible that if I lose Jonathan, we'll get a little bit more bandwidth, which might mean I can get Kelly on. So, Jonathan, thank you very much indeed for your question, mate, and we'll speak to you later. Cheers, Jonathan. I'm going to jack Jonathan and hopefully see if that helps Kelly. No, okay. Kelly may be able to join us in a few moments. Just shout, Kelly, if you have a question. Anyway, in the meantime, I've got a couple of questions come in from Kim Lehman. Sorry, one question come in from Lehman. Do you have a favorite Grindhouse movie?
Oh man, you know what? That's a tough one because I really should watch a lot more old school Grindhouse films. Definitely one of the newer ones that came out because Grindhouse was totally like a new thing that came out in the last like 8 years. You know,
Sure.
like it was relived, I guess you could say. So one of the newer ones, definitely, I think one of the better ones was Planet Terror from Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah.
And then from way back in the day, one of the better ones I saw, but I yet to see enough. I don't even know if it'd be considered Grindhouse, but I Spit on Your Grave, the original. I think that's a Grindhouse film, but I could totally be punched in the face and it's a Grindhouse film. And I want to say Hannibal Holocaust, but I don't think that one's considered Grindhouse. I'm not too sure. But definitely those two for their gritty.
I have to say, Cannibal Holocaust, I've never watched Cannibal Holocaust, so I couldn't tell you. I can't help you on that one.
That movie, I don't know. I don't know if it's considered Grindhouse or not, but that movie really sticks with you. That movie, it's definitely, I think, the most brutal film to date. You know, especially for how old it is and when it came out. Man, they had guts to make something like that. So you watch it now, you might be a bit desensitized with some of the stuff that's out today, but it's still pretty gruesome film. Yeah.
Okay. I think actually I was talking about this with Mike and Mark last night on the podcast. We were talking about both of us said, I don't think we can ever watch it. As everyone knows who watches this show, I am very, very squeamish. I get scared way too easily. Kelly, let me try Kelly again. Hi, Kelly.
I think she's frozen.
I think she's frozen. Yes, yeah. No, it's sorry, Kelly.
You look really good frozen, though.
You look great frozen, Kelly.
When you froze earlier, that wasn't so attractive, you know. Like, you know, I was like.
I know it's never going to catch you at the most flattering of moments, is it? There's another question from Paul Yan. You mentioned earlier on about working on a science fiction anthology. Do you have you ever been a science fiction fan? What's your favorite science fiction movie?
Oh man, there's so many. I've always loved science fiction because okay, okay, I'm gonna get into this for a moment.
Okay.
In Mexico, it's been known to have a lot of UFOs pass by. There's a lot of things caught on camera.
Yeah.
Unknown. So in our culture, it's kind of funny to somewhat believe in that stuff. And my mom's a huge believer in that. She's got the whole telescope and everything. She loves to study it, loves to study that there is another life out there, that there are aliens out there. So I always kind of grew up believing in that stuff, because my mom's so into it. And a lot of sci-fi films were big, and Twilight Zone was huge in Mexico. Even though the dubbing in Spanish was awful, I would still watch it, and I loved it. But one of the films that really stuck with me, definitely, E.T. I thought it was real. I thought E.T. was fucking real. I was scared of E.T. for a long time, and until I grew up loving E.T. And then from there I started watching more films like Alien, and even though a lot of people don't like this movie, I like for the cinematic achievement of it. It's called AI, Artificial Intelligence.
Yes, yeah, I know that one. Yep.
People don't like that movie because it's really long and boring. I'm one of the only people out there that really, really like that movie for its story and acting and just the cinematic look of it. I'm a big fan.
I love Jude Law's performance.
His character.
In AI.
Yeah.
And it's.
Yeah, no, and I almost want to watch more sci-fi films because I never really did. I just kind of grew up liking Twilight Zone and things like that. Alien is probably still one of my favorite ones. That's still really, I love it for what it is. 1 and 2, definitely. I think if I had to pick, it would be those ones. Yeah.
And funny enough, that kind of brings me. Let me just try Kelly again. Every time I look at Kelly, she freezes. Whilst you're talking, she's quite animated. But every time I look at her, it's like.
I'll just move so she can ask a question.
Yeah. It's a bit like Medusa. Every time I look at her, she freezes. So a question from Ross Brown: Is there any existing film series you would like to be involved with?
There is an existing what? Sorry,
is there an existing film series? But before we do, Kelly. Okay. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Hi, Kelly.
Can you hear me?
Ask your question very quickly, Kelly.
Oh, no.
No, she's gone again. She's gone quiet. Speak to us, Kelly. Speak to us.
I can't hear you, Kelly. I just can't.
It's just like, Kelly, type your question into a comment. Craig will pass it on to us.
You're beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, you're really beautiful.
I can hear you, but
we can't hear you, but and she loves us. Yeah.
I can hear her. I think I just heard her.
Hello.
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 What's your question,
Can you
Kelly?
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. What's your question?
Hi, Gigi.
Hello.
I'm just wondering, would you ever consider directing the Soska sisters in a film of yours?
Oh, like casting them?
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be awesome. I mean, they're twins. They're gothy. They're badass looking. They got their own unique style. I think that would be super cool. And I've seen them act. On Puppet Killer, they star in the film too. So those girls got a lot of talent. So yeah, totally. I would try to make them look more Mexican, but that might not work. So I'll have to think.
No, that would be very interesting for them. I'd really like to see Mexican versions of the Soska sisters.
That would be hilarious. This is Juanita and Lupita Soska. That would be really funny.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think we can all agree that actually the Soska sisters, the Mexican versions.
Sorry to totally change. Someone just typed Event Horizon. Sandra did. Yes, I can't believe I didn't bring that up earlier. Event Horizon kicks so much ass. I love that sci-fi film. Okay, sorry, I had to bring that.
No, that's fine. You're keeping an eye on the comments as well. That's brilliant. Kelly, thank you very much indeed for your question. We're actually coming to the end of the show, and I think I've actually come to the end of all the questions that I've got. Sandra, your question about the PSA. That has actually already been answered earlier on. Paddy is saying just how much he likes Madre de Dios, and the production design of it as well.
Paddy also likes. He loved AI. Good. Coming, brother. I'm a huge crybaby. Like I cry. Like I'm like, like I ugly cry. Okay, I ugly cry with movies to the point where you do not want to hang out with me. And AI, for some reason, like, oh my goodness, it just like really hurt, So yeah, that movie really made me cry. I was really young too, but yeah.
Yeah, anyway. I guarantee, and I possibly mentioned this on the show before. Have you ever heard of a musical film called Fiddler on the Roof?
Oh, yes. Lord Jesus. Lord have mercy. Oh my God.
The song at the Anatevka, I'm getting goosebumps now, even just thinking about it. I'm sorry, I've told this story
the
before.
Movie that has made me cry every single 5 minutes, not 5 minutes, but pretty close. I watched Naomi Watts, one of her latest films. It's called The Impossible. So it's based on the true story of the surviving family of the tsunami hurricane that Thailand a few years back. Whoa, that movie's so powerful. Like, that movie's so good. If you really want to cry and just feel the true human, events, watch The Impossible. You will cry a lot. Or you know what, stick to Dragonheart and you will cry like a kid because
you love Dragonheart. Oh, don't! It's the bit at the it's Sean Connery about. It's just wonderful.
And voice. Oh, don't. Yeah. No.
Yeah, and it's really old fashioned. I'll tell you the other one, of course, is Lady Hawk. I find incredibly moving as well.
Do you
know? It's a Rutger Hauer.
Yeah.
Matthew Broderick, and it's where he is a knight by daytime and a wolf by night, and she is a lady by nighttime and a hawk by day.
Oh,
they're in love. They're cursed by a bishop, because obviously that's what bishops do. And Matthew Broderick plays. If I got it right, I'm sure it's Matthew Broderick. Plays the thief. It's wonderful and it's moving. It's just this whole idea of these two absolutely cursed, never to be able to see each other. That one gets me every time as well.
I gotta watch. There's so many crying movies out there. Like, my best friends Luke and Rainer hate watching Patch Adams or Forrest Gump with me because the credits begin to start. The opening credits, in Forrest Gump, it's just a little feather, and I'm already I know what's gonna happen, and I just keep going. And it's Patch Adams, the opening credits. Patch Adams, the theme of the song. I'm like. I can't do films that make me cry. Oh my God. Rainer, him and I have a thing where he always takes me to see movies, and he invited me to go see 12 Years a Slave. And again, I get so invested in movies because I always turn off my filmmaker hat and I just watch them. And yeah, 12 Years a Slave,
I've not watched it. No. I know I'll find it too upsetting. I won't be able to. I'm not going to watch it.
Did you go see Passion of Christ in the theater? Okay, I was one of the idiots that did. And I was the whole movie, I was ugly crying in that one. Oh, don't go see Passion of Christ. I doubt it will come back in theaters. Never see that movie. It will destroy you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, let's face it, you know, if I've set the bar at Fiddler on the Roof, anything...
Oh, yeah, that's that. You know, I could go on. We could not talk about horror and just talk about
we'll
ugly.
just talk about the movies that make us cry, basically.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
to me, which
I have a
is...
bigger list of what makes me ugly cry than what film inspires me. I have a way bigger list of those. One day I'll share it. But yeah.
Gigi,
What movie to not date Gigi with and not yeah.
Gigi, this has actually been a really, as I knew it was going to be, it's going to be an absolutely extraordinary show. We have run out of time.
I have nothing to do. I'm just kidding. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm sure you've got things to do. I've got to get a blog post up, which I promised people last week, and I've got almost written about a script. I can't even speak now. Screenwriting software, which is almost there, and I'm determined to get it out tonight before I go to bed. So I need to get that done today. Gigi, thank you so very much indeed for coming and joining us. Thank you to everybody who's
so much fun. So I hope you can have Lucha Gore back. You know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then we'll get and let's see if we can get some of the guys to join you as well.
It's so funny watching all of us in one room because it's bickering and saying like, "That's not true. You didn't do that." Yes, I did. Oh, yes, I did. You know, it's like you will see what it's really like. You can tell the friendship and love and the hate at the same time. So they would love to come on. So let's figure it out.
Well, later this year, once we know what the big announcement is that you can't actually talk about, once all that's been settled, and
everyone that came on board today, thank you from the bottom of my heart. This was, you know, my first time on this thing. You can ask Vince. I did not understand how to get on this link, so thank you, and thank you guys for all your awesome questions. I hope I answered them. Yeah, stay tuned with Lucha Gore because this 2016 is our biggest year yet. If you missed the beginning of the show, we got some big announcements coming up if things continue to go good. So keep your fingers crossed. We don't get
absolutely. We're keeping our fingers crossed, and whilst we keep our fingers crossed, we'll wave goodbye. Good night, everybody. You've been watching Chattering with Nicholas Vince, and I've been chattering with Gigi Saul Guerrero. And Gigi, please say good night.
Good night, everyone. Gracias. Besos.
Abianto. Until next week when I'll be chattering with Katie Bonham. Take care of yourselves, guys, and good night. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.